My stepmom has been married to my dad since I was 7. She was the other woman in my parents' marriage and was also supposed to be my mom's best friend. I didn't know her pre-affair reveal very well. She lived in another city, and apparently, for most of my life and my sister's life, she and her dad had been sleeping together. This is not something I was aware of as a kid. My sister and I knew we didn't have parents who got along after the divorce. We could sense the tension. Once or twice, we had an idea Mom hated our stepmom, but she never said or did anything directly in front of us. The vibe was just there. It didn't stop us from loving our stepmom. We found out what happened when I was 19. We felt so bad for our mom, but our stepmom had always been good to us, and Dad was good to us, so we tried not to let it change things. After my fiance and I announced our engagement on social media, my stepmom wrote a post about how she dreamed of this day when I was born, how she had been so excited to watch her very first baby grow up and get married, how she and Dad had talked about it before I could walk. She tagged my dad, but she also tagged some friends who knew her back then and were also friends with my mom. The post was distasteful and honestly exposed that she had always planned to have an affair. However, it did change how I felt. I told her to take it down and apologize. She told me she didn't regret the post and asked why I wasn't happy she loved me that much. I accused her of rubbing it in Mom's face, the fact that she had stabbed her in the back and won the love of my sister and me after betraying her as she did. She told me it was 20 years ago and my mom should be over it. I decided not to include her in any wedding planning. She is a wedding planner as a profession, and I knew she would want to, but I'm not happy with her post. Mom was so happy when I told her, but when my stepmom wanted to know when she'd be dress shopping with me and what I wanted her help with, I told her I didn't want her involved in any wedding planning. So she and my dad are saying that I'm overreacting and shouldn't be treating her this way when she's been a good parent to me. Not the idiot. My God, how dense is this woman? She practically put it out there for everyone to see that she knowingly was having an affair with your dad while your mom was pregnant with you. She'd be lucky to even get an invite to the wedding if it was me. Tell her she's reaping the consequences of sleeping around and find out 20 years later. I'm practically spitting fire at this woman's audacity. She and my dad are saying I'm overreacting and shouldn't be treating her this way when she's been a good parent to me. No, she's not a good parent to you by putting up that post, knowing it would hurt your mom, and she was supposedly your mom's best friend. With friends like her, who needs enemies? And her minimizing the pain your mom felt she needed to get over it because it's been 20 years is infuriating. I don't think she's dense. I think she's calculating. I think stepmom thinks she's won, especially since bio mom was such a saint and never spoke ill of them to the children. She probably sees OP's mom as a pushover or thinks that the kids love her so much more than their mom and would choose stepmom over their mom, and therefore has no problem making posts like that on social media. OP, this is crucial to your wedding planning. Warn every one of your vendors. Yeah, OP, password protect everything. I'm sure stepmom will get over it. It may take 20 years, but she'll get over it, LOL. Her mask slipped, and now you know who she really is. Side note, I would like to suggest you comment on her post and respond with, I'm the daughter of your best friend, who you screwed over by screwing her husband. I'm not your firstborn anything. It seems like your dad is a total idiot too, who simply used his first wife as a baby factory, and then he married his stalker. This reads as though she's infertile, and stepmom ran a long con to get kids. It sounds like it was the plan from the start. He's not in a position to be judging your behavior or giving you advice. You have every right to feel what you're feeling right now. I am a 62 female. I have a daughter, Michelle. She's 25, and her daughter's preschool age. I let my daughter move in 8 months ago due to her separation, and she told me she was having financial issues. I told her she could stay, but that this living situation was temporary and not permanent. I told her she needed to save up quickly and not to expect to lean on me, because I knew when I gave Michelle an inch, she always took a mile. Since Michelle has been living under my roof, she's been nagging me about babysitting. I told Michelle when she got here that I would not be her 24/7 handy nanny under any circumstances, and to not treat me as such. I am 62 and would like peace and to live my life. I told Michelle up front that she needed to figure out daycare. She continued to disrespect me and break my house rules during her stay. My granddaughter's homeschooled, so I told her that she either needed to find a stay-at-home job or figure out daycare expenses. She's done neither of such and has made my life harder than it has to be. I charge her $350 a month for rent, which is a huge discount because her daughter and herself take up 2 rooms in my house, and my rent is $2,900 a month. Michelle was never a tenant. These past few weeks I've been asking Michelle daily what the plan is. What is her plan and when will she move? She gives me excuse after excuse and gives me names of people she says she'll stay with. Each time I ask her, her answer varies. Finally, I had her give me the numbers of these people who she says tell her that she can stay there. This morning, my daughter and my granddaughter went off to hang out with a friend. I told her she needed to find some place to go many months ago. As I mentioned, this move was temporary. I called one of the friends whose number she gave me and asked about the living arrangement. I was told that she never asked to live with her, but that they both would be welcome for a few weeks. I confirmed and told her they'd be on their way. After taking apart my granddaughter's plastic bed and gathering their belongings in bags, I texted my daughter and told her their things were outside on the porch. So, am I the idiot? Everyone's the idiot here. Mostly, I just feel bad for your little granddaughter. She did nothing to deserve having a crappy mother and a crappy grandmother and apparently a crappy father, since she's not staying there and is instead with an unstable mother and unwelcoming grandmother. You all suck. I hope your daughter figures out her life so that her granddaughter doesn't suffer anymore. Crappy grandmother? She's not responsible for her adult daughter's actions. What was she supposed to do? Take care of her adult daughter for the rest of her retirement life? Her daughter lied and isn't actively looking for a way. No upfront plan, only excuses. Michelle was never a tenant. Sorry to break it to you, but from your description, she almost certainly was, legally speaking. You'd be shocked at how easy it is for someone to become a tenant in the eyes of the law and gain the full protection of tenancy laws. The fact that there was an agreement for her to pay rent is very bad news for you, even if she never paid you. Someone doesn't become not a tenant just because their landlords call them a guest. Most states require written notice. Certainly a court will require actual evidence of notice. It's absolutely not enough to just tell her. You are the idiot, OP. You've genuinely escalated the situation. And if your daughter knows her rights as a tenant or gets good legal advice, you can expect things to go badly moving forward. I live next to a couple whom I'm friendly with, but not much past "how are you" and chatting about things in the neighborhood. Last week, I was out for a morning walk and noticed Amber lugging a butt-ton of plants from her backyard to her porch. She said hello, so I stopped to chat and see if she needed help. It looked like she was starting her own landscaping company. She finally felt inspired to work on the new garden she's been planning for months. She ripped out everything she currently had and was going to put it on the curb as freebies. I've always wanted to turn my lawn into a nice garden, so I felt like I struck gold. I offered to pay her because there was a substantial amount of shrubbery, but she refused. I wheelbarrowed everything over to my backyard, bought her some pastries as a thank you, and offered cash again to help her with her new garden. She refused, and that was that. I spent the weekend replanting everything with my boyfriend, and our backyard looks great. Until I got a knock on my door yesterday from her husband. It turns out he said she gave permission for him to tell me this. She struggled with bipolar and was going through a manic episode. There's no new garden she's been planning for months, just a bipolar-induced attack on their backyard that she now regrets. She's too embarrassed to talk to me herself. I get it. I struggle with depression, and the fewer people I have to explain myself to, the better. But she wants her plants back. Apparently that garden was her baby, and she destroyed it in a fit of mania. I'm sad for her because crappy decisions when you're in the mental toilet suck. But everything's already planted in my backyard, and I'm not willing to put in the effort to dig everything up. It'll look awful, and yeah, That's what they're dealing with now. But I don't believe it's my fault. I nicely told him that, and he just said okay and left. Now when I see them, they completely ignore me. I've crossed paths with them 3 times since, and her husband waved, but she didn't even look at me. I saw them taking soil and compost bags out of their car today, and Amber just looked really upset and not at all excited to be working on a new garden. My boyfriend thinks I should offer to give at least some of them back because, I'm not exaggerating, she gave me a ton of plants. I just don't want her to think she can be rude to me after her mistake and then get what she wants. Am I the idiot? She's not being rude. She's embarrassed and now trying to reconstruct what she destroyed. She's gutted. She feels like crap, and you were under no obligation to return the plants. It wouldn't have been unreasonable to meet her in the middle and let her reclaim her most precious ones. Y'all might have even collaborated on your garden, and you could have had a good gardening ally. You aren't technically in the wrong, but your attitude regarding what happened sucks. You are the idiot for making this about you. Absolutely this. Offer them money again, and don't skip on it. Calculate how much you would have had to pay for your new garden, and offer that money again. And be nice and understanding about it. Having a good relationship with your neighbors is worth its weight in gold. Not the idiot. What would she have done if you had taken the plants in, and instead, some random stranger had picked them up off the sidewalks, as she had originally stated? She would be in the exact same spot. If anything, this should show her and her husband that maybe her symptoms aren't under control, and she needs to speak with her doctor. That's not your problem, though. That's theirs. Agree. You spent a whole weekend fixing your garden, and they expect you to trash it because she feels foolish? What about your mental health? I hate when people with mental health issues use that as an excuse to mess with others' mental health. Learn from this and just reject everything in the future, or discuss it with her husband first, as he seems more responsible. And for people who say OP took advantage, she can only take advantage of something she was aware of. I am 7 months pregnant with my first child. The baby is also my husband's family's first grandchild and nephew, which everyone is excited about. Being an only child, I lost my mother and father, so there's not much of my family. Since the death of my parents 1 year ago, my husband's family has welcomed me with open arms as part of them, and I've become very close to my mother-in-law and sister-in-law. I always wanted to have a gender reveal, and I trusted my sister-in-law to organize everything. I think gender reveal is tacky, but my mom was the type who loved it, and she always dreamed of having grandchildren. She said she was made to be a grandmother. She can't meet my son or even know I'm pregnant, so I wanted to do something for her, not for me. Everyone knew the importance of why I always wanted to have a gender reveal with my mom. Well, 3 days before the party, I started receiving messages from all of my husband's relatives and even close friends congratulating me on my baby being a boy. I went to ask what happened, and my sister-in-law confessed that she let it slip to my mother-in-law, and she told everyone the gender of the baby after knowing because she couldn't hold it, and it took proportions beyond what they had imagined. Nobody calls me to let me know this. The party was canceled, and I was heartbroken and extremely hurt by the two of them. Usually they accompanied me to the ultrasound, shopping for the baby's room, and my mother-in-law would stay at the delivery time. But after this breach of trust, I stopped inviting them and asked them to respect my boundaries when they pressured me to go. Honestly, I didn't even send them the baby shower invite because I really avoided contact with them as much as possible because everyone knew before me that it was a boy. My husband started complaining that I was pushing them away because of a mistake that could happen and that I was being harsh. So yesterday he brought this up, and when I said that I still didn't feel comfortable with them, he said, "Soon you'll tell me that my mother won't be able to go to the birth." I think my face showed my response, and he started saying I was too hard on her because she was just excited and blah blah blah. I had my limit and said, "If you keep pushing me, it won't just be your mother who won't be in the delivery room. So either stop or you won't come in." He started to say that I was crossing the lines and that he had a right to have this moment, that I was taking this with them too far. He slept on the couch and doesn't talk to me more than necessary. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. This wasn't a mistake. This was a choice. Your sister-in-law made a choice and told mother-in-law, Mother-in-law then chose to tell everyone else in the family. Your husband is making a choice to pressure you into things, leaving you to make some choices of your own now. You are allowed to make your own choices. Nobody, not even the husband, has a right to be in the delivery room. May seem harsh, but it's true. Especially since it sounds like the word didn't just spread, but that she told everyone. That's not a mistake. That's on purpose. OP, your sister-in-law slipping could have been an honest mistake. Your mother-in-law spreading it around was a concise choice. You may be going a little too far with your sister-in-law. Again, possible accident. But your mother-in-law made her choice and will now deal with the consequences. OMG, you were the last to know? One person is an accident. The whole family was a choice. Did anyone even apologize to you? Your husband is a huge idiot for thinking mommy's excitement is a higher priority than the woman who's actually pregnant. It sounds like your husband is using you as an incubator to give mommy and sissy a new toy. No way should his mother be at the birth. It's not dinner theater where your husband's entitled to sell tickets to the show. Everyone else can hang out in the waiting room until the baby's born and you're ready for them to visit. Honestly, mother-in-law sounds like the type who will pull out her phone and live stream the birth without telling OP. I'm currently staying with my in-laws. Before we came to visit, my mother-in-law asked me what pregnancy cravings I was having because she wanted to ensure they had them for me. I mostly crave chocolate fudge brownie ice cream, and they bought a lot of it for me. I was eating it directly out of the tub since it never lasts more than 2 days max, and nobody else was eating it as far as I was aware. My mother-in-law's goddaughter has been here for a few days too, and she saw me eating the ice cream from the tub and told me I was gross because somebody else could have wanted some, and I should use a bowl instead of just eating it directly from the tub. I told her I would eat it all anyway, and she accused me of being greedy. I started crying because we kept arguing over it, and she was making me feel awful. My husband saw me crying and was furious with her. My mother-in-law's been trying to smooth things with everybody, but my husband is still angry at her, and she's still mad at me because she thinks I cried on purpose to make him angry at her. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. I find it confusing and insulting that pregnant women aren't expected to act like adults. You're putting your germs in a tub of ice cream. It's not that hard to use a bowl and a spoon. Eat as much as you want, but give someone the option to have some. You can't help the tears because your hormones are haywire, but you can't just move on from this and use a bowl. It doesn't have to be a big deal. It was purchased for her, and she mentioned that there was more than one tub. So if the goddaughter wanted some, all she needed to do was ask for some, and OP presumably would use a bowl for the next tub. If something is mine, I eat it however I want. If someone buys something for me, I eat it however I want. It really has nothing to do with her being pregnant. Not the idiot. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. The goddaughter could have said the same thing while being significantly less rude. The thing is, if OP was at her own house, I would totally back her. But she's eating someone else's food and being disgusting about it. Have some respect for your host. Mark or indicate your tub, you barbaric savages.